Hey everyone, how's it going? Hope everyone's doing super awesome today. Welcome to Zahatka. My name is Valentina, and today I have a tutorial for you of this little puffer boxy makeup bag or travel bag, toiletries bag, whatever you want to call it. And I made it to match my little puffer tote bag that I made. Same pattern, just a little smaller squares. So it's super cute. I really enjoyed making it, and I hope you do too. So if you're ready to see and learn, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, and let's get to sewing. So first things first, I have already pre-cut all my squares. I have the backing and the front piece, and they are 3 by 3 inch squares. And I started out with 4 on one side and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the other side. And then I got some coffee as some liquid courage to keep going because this was going to take a while. And then, what I did next is just sew 3 sides of each square, sewing together the backing and the top. So those little beige pieces that I cut out, I put them on the bottom of the top pieces. I'll show you here in just a second how exactly. So as you can see, the top piece and then that beige piece, and just sewing 3 sides, leaving one side open. And the reason I did it all like this in one line is so I didn't want to have to cut off the thread, and also it saves some thread this way, but also time. You don't have to keep cutting and regoing. And this is how it looks when all of the sides are done. And next I just clipped off all the pieces, and they have front and back now, so they're like little pockets. And I organized them how I originally had them organized, just in the pattern that I want them. And the next step comes in when you're putting them in the pattern. So I have the first line right here. And what I do is sew together the top row on the sides, not on the bottom, but on the sides. So the first 2 pieces I sew together, then I add on the third one, and then the fourth one. So putting them pretty side to pretty side and sewing that one side. Once you have sewn together all the rows, and I decided to, no, I have not decided yet. So I have those 6 rows by 4, and I stuffed them all, trying to get an even amount. So in those open sides, as I mentioned, you had to leave one side open. And whenever you're sewing the sides together, all of them will, open sides will be on the top. And you just stuff them all, and once they're all stuffed, you're gonna sew the tops and you're gonna basically attach them all. So the first row, you're just sewing the top together, just a straight line all across of the boxes since you already have them sewn together on the sides. You're just making that straight stitch across. That's how the first row looks. And then for that second row, you're going to sew it on the bottom. So you put it pretty side to pretty side. And I like to put the unsewn side on the bottom, and the sewn side, the seam kind of guides me of where I need to sew. And so pretty side to pretty side, and sew all across the top and the bottom, and then that's how it looks. And then you just keep going with every row. And I do like to move the fluff that I inserted into the little pillows. I like to move it away from where I'm sewing, and it makes it flatter and easier to sew together. So I did that for all the rows, and here's how it looks. I decided I was not satisfied with the size. I needed it to be 19 by 13 at least, and right now it's not giving me 19 by 13. So I added another row, and I got 20 by 10 out of here. And what you want to do is like massage the little fluff things in there so they're all kind of evenly spread. And I didn't realize I had 20 by 10 here, so I'm gonna proceed to cut the lining. But then I realized that I am like 3 inches too short, so I add some more on the side. I wish I had noticed this, but before you do it, just watch till here at least, and you'll know how many squares you'll need. So overall, I ended up with 8 squares by 5 squares, 40 squares total, 3 by 3 inch squares. And then I cut my liner, make sure it fits, and then I cut my zipper, just measuring it out to make sure that there's a little bit of tails left. It's not exactly to the size of the width of the bag. And then you're going to make your zipper sandwich. You have your outer piece laying upward, then you put your zipper down and upside down, and then you put your liner, the pretty side of the liner, on the bottom, so pretty side to pretty side. And you kind of want to move that fluff away from where the zipper is. As I mentioned, it'll be easier to sew it like that. And then you just sew the straight stitch across to close up that zipper sandwich and attach your zipper to the bag. After you have attached this zipper, you'll want to turn it right side out and do a top stitch along the zipper to make sure that the liner is being held down away from the zipper and giving that finished look. Next is attaching the zipper clasp. So I always like to make sure that one of the zippers is shorter than the other. That's why I like to leave a little bit on each side so I can cut one piece off. Now flip your makeup bag inside, flip it out the wrong way, inside out. And you're gonna, now I forgot that I didn't make the tabs, so I cut some material to make some tabs to go on the zipper ends. I just did a 2-inch wide by 5-inch, and then I cut that in half, and I put it on either side of the zippers. I always like to have tabs on these little ones. Don't know if that's convenient for people or not, but then I clip together also the ends and sew straight lines all across, starting where the zipper is with the tab. I find it easier that way to make sure it's even, especially when the bag is thicker. I like to start by the zipper and then I go over it again. And if you do have trouble with going over the zipper, just go slower where the zipper is. Then you want to check and make sure that all your sides are sewn in good, and mine was a little messed up, so I went over it again. Always want to double check before you finish things off.
Then you cut off any extra fabric that you may have or zipper. And then I do 2 by 2 inch squares away from the seam, not from the edge. So where the seam ends, I measure 2 by 2 and I cut those out to get that boxy look. Then I go ahead and cut some more strips of fabric, and this will be to cover up the seam. So I do 2 inches wide by 6 inches long, and then 2 of those, and then 4 of 2 inches wide by 5 inches long, and they'll go right there to cover up the seam. So I put it pretty side to pretty side, and I like to put it on the bottom and sew on the top where I have the seam, so I know where it'll basically cover up the whole sewing seam. And then you fold it and flip it over. Just like fold it in half basically and then flip it over. I do like to clip it just to make sure it doesn't get unfolded. And then I go ahead and sew that. And I do that to both sides before I close in those cutout squares that I did. It's a lot tougher to do after. Then for the little cutout squares, you fold it diagonally and then just sew across. Show it one more time here. So you just fold diagonally, as I mentioned, end to end, just like that. So that seam that you have ends up being in the middle, and sew straight across. And you do that to all 4 sides. And then before closing them up and making the seams all closed and pretty, make sure that to flip it right side out and you don't have any gaps or anything like that. Everything's sewn together. As I said, double check before you finish anything off. Then you get that strip that's 2 inches by 5, and on this one I like to fold the ends in a little bit before I sew it down. So I lay it up pretty side to pretty side, sew it down just like that. And as you can see, I have those ends folded in, and then I fold in half and then flip just like I did before. But with having those ends folded in, you don't have any fraying and it looks nice and complete when it's done on the ends. Instead of having to cut it, it just has a finished and nicer look. And that's why you wanted 4 strips of the 5-inch ones. So you do that to every side. And this is how it looks before you flip it right side out. So pretty, so beautiful. All the extra thread and everything clipped off. And you're all done. Just flip it right side out. And I do hope you found this tutorial useful and you'll try to make this puffy boxy makeup bag or whatever else you want to use it for, pencil pouch or anything. But I do hope you found it useful, and if you did, if you could consider liking, subscribing, sharing, commenting, and all that good stuff that helps me out if you haven't yet. And I really hope to see you here again next time for more tutorials. I got a lot more coming for you. And just a big thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch my videos. And I'll see y'all again next time. Bye bye.